The Bitcoin chart looks like an absolute roller coaster, and all the while, CRO is back at the lows of the logarithmic rainbow chart. And that's all happening on the backdrop of all the tariff fears that also brought the stock market down to its knees. So, what is going on? Well guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only Coin Baron, and this video is sponsored by Wolfswap, a great platform to make trades during these volatile times, but more about that later. First, I want to talk about what is going on in the market, because honestly, it is absolutely crazy. I don't know if you were strapped in during our last live stream, but the market is full of fear for a Black Monday scenario, referring to the 1987 stock market crash. And looking at what happened in Hong Kong, it is not that strange of a scenario, because the Hong Kong Stock Exchange dropped like a rock to 1997 levels. So it went down about 14%, which is huge in stock market terms. However, I do have to say the Asian markets have not yet priced in the countermeasures of the Chinese governments regarding tariffs when the markets closed in Asia last Friday. So this was somewhat expected. And therefore also, if you take a look at what has been going on, for example, the S&P 500, it is even showing some green numbers here. In all honesty, it is still a very bad day for the global stock market, but it is not as bad as some people predicted with, for example, a Black Monday scenario, because we only dropped about 4% so far for the S&P. And that worst case scenario fear, though, that is what brought down Bitcoin last Sunday. You could see we dropped from about 82K to about 74K. Anyways, you can see this all happened on a Sunday, and I do have to remind you guys that many people are just enjoying the outside, enjoying time with family, not watching charts. So it is easier to quote unquote manipulate the price to go down even quicker on a Sunday, because again, there's low trading volume and there are low levels of liquidity. So it's easier to bring the price down. However, if things go down, it can be a bit like a trampoline as well, because you can see it shot up as well, as high even as 85K for Bitcoin in a very short wick here, in a very short wick for Bitcoin. This all happened with a fake news pump after hearing that Trump was going to pause the tariffs for about 90 days. Unfortunately, that is fake news, has been confirmed by the White House by now. Anyways, people are definitely looking for some more changes, because with the current uncertainty, I think there might be some more chop in the market. And you can also see that, for example, with CRO, because CRO had a really great week last week with the Trump media partnership bump, bringing us up to about 12 cents. But all those gains are gone again. The only saving grace here is that we do have the logarithmic rainbow chart here, because right on this line, it is holding again beautifully. So I do hope we get a similar pump in the future when we get some more certainty regarding also tariffs. I do have to say also on the CRO Bitcoin chart, we're just seeing some good things here. For example, on this linear growth line here, we can see it again bounce so far. So again, if you zoom out, CRO Bitcoin is still down a lot. What might we do for a change? That change might come soon with, for example, countries making deals with the United States of America. And I want to show you an example really of the EU, but first a quick word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor, Wolfswap, is an on-chain trading platform, for example, available on the Cronos chain, but also on many more. But the cool thing about Wolfswap is that it offers many different features. For example, there's charts that you can use like on any other exchange platform. But the great benefit here of this platform is that it has lower fees than typically, for example, the Crypto.com app. Anyways, you can do swaps, you can do limit orders. So really, guys, it has all you need. Check out Wolfswap right now in the link down below. As I mentioned before, Trump wants to make deals, and one of his most important trading partners is the European Union. And here it does mention that the EU is ready to discuss 040 tariffs with the US. And okay, that's of course just a statement here from the EU, but also listen to what Elon Musk, one of Trump's greatest advisors, has to say regarding the topic.
And I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. And that would be that's what I hope occurs. And also more freedom of people to move between Europe and North America, if they wish. If they wish to work in Europe or wish to work in America, they should be allowed to do so, in my view. So that has certainly been my advice to the president.
I honestly do hope that Trump will listen to the advice of his business partners like Musk here, but it seems he has also a second goal he wants to achieve with the Fed. On X and Truth Social, Trump has been posting about his point of view on inflation because he sees that oil price is going down, he sees food prices going down, but also egg prices plunging really like the stock market. So therefore, there is no inflation in the US. And therefore, the Fed actually should cut rates. And cutting rates means lowering the interest rates that they are paying also for their government bonds. And with lower interest rates, that could mean that US businesses could also invest more in the country. And more investment is typically good for the economy. Coincidence or not, the Federal Reserve with Jerome Powell is holding a closed-door meeting today to discuss what is going on in the market and also if they should actually lower interest rates. And with all the extra pressure from Trump, maybe they slowly start cutting the rates a bit earlier than expected. Don't forget, though, that the Fed has a mandate to keep inflation at about that 2% level. So even though Trump is pressuring them, he has absolutely no power there. And even Jerome Powell went as far as saying that there is a risk for inflation to go even higher due to the tariffs. So as long as the team is not seeing real data that confirms that inflation is going down, they're not going to lower interest rates much faster than they are doing currently. So interesting times. We have to wait really for the next Fed meeting to see what they really decided. Anyways, quickly going back to crypto, so far it seems that the Sunday drop was a bit too harsh and we're seeing some green candles currently. So far, so good, I would say, but definitely make sure you are staying tuned to the news by, for example, strapping into the channel here because I don't think the pain is necessarily over yet. But I think there are also some good signs that might point towards some bullishness as well near the end of the month of April. Having said that, if you want to trade this volatility in the market, you can also use the Crypto.com exchange, and I created a tutorial how to do so using limit orders and market orders, so check it out right now.